Take a look at the stars tonight, and you're looking at more than just a void. You're looking at a frontier under pressure. Welcome back. If you want the signal through the noise on global security, hit that subscribe button. The United States Space Force is currently deploying billion-dollar weapon systems because space has become an active combat zone. For decades, the U.S. treated orbit as a sanctuary. It was a domain used for passive monitoring, a quiet backdrop for weather satellites, GPS signals, and long-range communication. That silence is over. Rival nations like China and Russia have rapidly escalated their capabilities, testing anti-satellite missiles and executing aggressive orbital maneuvers that ignore established international norms. In 2025, the U.S. responded with a new space warfighting framework. It centers on a doctrine called competitive endurance, which assumes that space superiority is no longer a given. This doctrine has moved the Space Force to the front lines as a primary warfighting organization. Guardians are now trained to execute direct offensive and defensive missions, rather than just providing technical support. Because control of the stars is now contested, the U.S. is executing a systematic blueprint to actively fight for and maintain its presence in orbit. The first layer of this blueprint is orbital denial. The military has found that neutralizing a satellite doesn't actually require physical destruction. The Space Force recently deployed $1 billion worth of mobile, ground-based electronic warfare systems, specifically the Bounty Hunter and Meadowlands platforms. These trailer-mounted units use digital radio frequency payloads to jam adversary reconnaissance and communication links, essentially blinding their ability to coordinate. By choosing electronic jamming over kinetic missiles, the military achieves reversible effects. They can disable a threat during a conflict without permanently damaging the space environment. To counter the hundreds of Chinese and Russian tracking satellites now in orbit, the Pentagon plans to scale this fleet to 56 Meadowlands units. Blinding an adversary from the ground is the most immediate way to break a kill chain, without creating a cloud of orbital debris that would endanger every other satellite. But high-speed orbital combat requires a level of awareness that ground stations can't provide alone. You have to see the threat long before it arrives. This is the Space Data Network, a hybrid web of military and commercial satellites acting as the nervous system for the U.S. arsenal. Because space warfare is too fast for human operators, the military integrates AI and near-autonomous systems to process this data instantly. As these networks become more vital, we're seeing a global trend toward bodyguard satellites, spacecraft designed to physically shield high-value assets from co-orbital attacks. The U.S. has a potential lead here with the X-37B spaceplane. Though its mission is classified, its ability to maneuver and stay in orbit for years makes it a prime candidate for these protective roles. If this autonomous data network fails or is left unshielded, the entire U.S. orbital defense plan collapses. The final and most controversial layer is the Golden Dome, the ultimate escalation of the defense blueprint. The Golden Dome is a $185 billion layered shield designed to intercept everything from traditional ballistic missiles to the newest generation of hypersonic glide vehicles. Its most ambitious feature is the space-based Interceptor program. The goal is to have kinetic interceptors in orbit, ready to neutralize missiles mid-flight by 2028. Space Systems Command has already awarded $3.2 billion in prototype contracts to 12 different firms to bring this capability to life. The Space Force is using a new industrial model to build this shield. They're pairing traditional giants like Lockheed Martin with agile startups like SpaceX and True Anomaly to bypass the slow timelines of legacy defense spending. The sheer numbers involved are staggering. MIT physicists estimate that defending against a salvo of just 10 missiles would require a constellation of 10,000 satellites. The Golden Dome is the most aggressive American commitment to space defense since the Cold War. It is a massive bet that physical security in orbit is worth the eye-watering price tag. The Space Force has successfully moved from a background utility provider to an active combat force, ready for maneuver warfare in the stars. But this shift carries a heavy cost. International security experts warn that this rapid deployment could trigger an arms race that makes space unusable for everyone. The paradox is that while these systems are meant to deter war, actually using the kinetic interceptors risks creating enough debris to shut down orbital access for generations. Regardless of the risks, the stars are now a militarized frontier, where the security of the ground depends entirely on the control of the orbit. Thanks for watching. Is a space-based shield the future of peace, or just the next phase of global conflict? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.